Hello and welcome back to another week of Stags Talk. There's two big talking points to tackle. Not short of any entertainment this week, are we? As we have the signing of Michael Smith and also Stags got their first pre-season game underway. So we'll start at the top. We'll go with the new signing. Thoughts? Because obviously we had a brief discussion a couple of weeks ago at whether he would be a good fit. We'll get onto the match shortly because obviously you were there, Stephen. What do you think about Michael joining? I've got my thoughts because I wrote about him this week. But good selection from the club, do you think?
Yeah, I think so. It's everything that you need, isn't it? I think first and foremost, when you're trying to strengthen your team to be squad to take the club forward, as Stags are clearly doing, you need people that have been there and done it. And obviously, he's been one of the top scorers in League One before. He's won 3 promotions from League One, so it's everything you need. And also, you're bringing a player that's used to being at a higher league, coming down to League One, so it ticks all those boxes. And even more so that they have a free transfer as well. So everything that you need, and encouraging time so far, I think.
Yeah, so he joins on a 2-year deal. He's left Preston North End on a free deal, as you said, and joins fellow striker David McGoldrick. And yeah, I think the main thing to point out is that Nigel said we want to improve our attack, and they've done it. They've not really wasted much time bringing in 2 powerful strikers, tried and tested, as you say. They obviously know what they're doing. I think I said last week or the week before, is more seniority what they need? Because then we started talking about, somebody asked us, are they getting Oliver Iro and George Abbott back, young players like that. And while there's certainly space for young talent, there's nothing wrong with seniority and experience.
Experience is absolutely crucial, I think, as I said, like on the show where we discussed Smith, to bring in a player that can get to the end of the season, and when promotioners might be jangling, and you've been there, you've done it, you're a calm, cool head in the dressing room, as well as the quality that he brings in terms of the goals, and his all-round ability. It's that off-field thing that he adds to as well, that he's just all part of that jigsaw to, and as Nigel mentioned last night, it's all about options. There's all different sort of players that are up there, and I think that's key, that with the limits of our own squad these days, you can't just go and have a 50-man squad. Obviously, you've got to have that set numbers. You've got to get every little bit that you can out of every single player, and that goes to the extent of, as we saw last season and last night, Will Evans. He played at left wing back again. He didn't come on and go into an attacking role. He was straight in to left wing back. So that kind of indicates he's going to play a lot of minutes in that position this season. He's going to be, I kind of fear for him as to how much minutes he's actually going to get, how many starts he's going to get. I kind of see him perhaps falling a bit more now into the Aaron Lewis way of things, but as a backup squad player, he's going to be invaluable. And I think last night they were testing him out somewhat just to get him a bit more accustomed in that defensive role. It's very different to what he's used to.
Yeah, well, I'll get on to what I said about Michael Smith in my column, because obviously there's the game to talk about. Obviously, you were there. It's interesting because you said Will was a left wing back, which we have seen before, and he does do a good job there. But you did say a couple of shows ago that you wonder if these new striker signings will be at the detriment to Will's minutes in the attacking area of the pitch. And I think we said the same thing about Lucas Akins as well. Like, as much as he has been a clutch striker and he's come on and changed the game, he is also very good in defence. So I think the thing to note was, obviously pre-season is for seeing who plays best together and experimenting with your lineups. And I noticed that both halves were entirely different 11s. So, you had Oates, Evans, Russell, Blake, Tracy in one, and then you had the 2 Robertses, Deji, Sweeney, and Akins in another. So your kind of usual formula weren't typically starting together, and it was good that McGoldrick started one half, Smith started another. Great tactic, but obviously, as I say, you were there. What did you make of Smith and McGoldrick, but also everything as a whole? Because it was 2-1 Stags. Saw a couple of people aching and groaning about it, but it is like,
pre-season
they've been in hot weather training. It's been absolutely baking. It's the first game back. I don't think this is anything to worry too much about.
It was sluggish, but at the same time, it doesn't really matter. It's not bad. They've been back 6 days. It was a lot of running in that, a lot of fitness work, and it's harder to do that obviously as well with the weather that we've had. So they've had to scale back what they was doing a bit. But it's the first run out, and it doesn't really make any difference because it's not like they're going to play like that against Doncaster when it really matters. I liked what I saw from it. It's a bit early to tell, obviously, that you've had 45 minutes from both the new strikers. I did like Smith in that he seemed very bright and eager and sharp, and that awareness around, not say inside the box, but outside the box as well, that he wasn't afraid to get a shot off. If there's a half, sometimes you get so many teams that just overplay. You get on the edge of the box, you're 25 out. Instead of having a dig, you put it left for someone to get a crossing or whatever. He was quite happy to get a few shots away, and I think we're going to see that a lot next season. They're going to have a lot more sort of shots on goal. Obviously, the more times you have a shot, the better likelihood is you're going to get them goals. McGoldrick again as well. He looked decent, just sort of playing on that last man, and he looked like he was lively. He's going to break them offside traps. He's going to get through. He's going to be a nuisance. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. I think Tyler Roberts seems to be playing. He was kind of up top as a two, but also dropping deep a lot and having more of a roaming role. So I think you're going to see a lot of flexibility in that approach. One, either McGoldrick or Smith can, as you made, sort of target man with someone going off him. But yeah, the big thing for me was said with Will Evans. That's the one that stood out for me, that he was just straight in on that left wing back role. And just coming back to what I said earlier, as a player, I really like him. That I always have done, because he's always someone that's going to come in and he'll never stop running. He knows what it's like. He's been there as a normal guy, working hard and going playing his grassroots football, whatever, before making it up. And he's never lost that desire that whatever happens, you have to give 100% and give everything for the fans. And you're never gonna he's never not going to give that. But I don't know how suited he's going to be to that position. Aikens is accustomed to it. He's solid. He's grown into that. I just don't know. What time will tell. But for Evans, it seems it's a big difference. And I think it's all well and good being there against for 10 minutes in a game, or against Retford or whatever. But when you've got a damn good right winger going up against you, he can risk being exposed.
Yeah, he's a real workhorse, is Will Evans. And as you say, that there's been games where he's really been kind of the talisman of the attack. His goal against Arsenal, for example. He loves a big moment. And as you say, this might be a change for him, because as much as he did feature in that left wing back role last season, they were few and far between. Like, he was mostly in attack. But if this is kind of what Nigel wants to do moving forward, yeah, as you say, it will be a big change, and it'll be interesting.
Sorry, Georgia. I can't see him getting many starts. I really can't. I think he's going to just drop down the back. He's kind of going more into the mould of Jordan Bowery now, of a guy that can kind of play anywhere, but someone that Nigel's going to like, because, as I say, he knows the system. It's 100% effort. He's going to be 100% reliable. Whether that translates into ability in that position he's playing to is a different matter. But he's not going to, if he falls short, he's not going to fall short for want of trying. He's just another player in that squad that gives the versatility, if I can get my words out, that they need.
Yeah, and this is the thing. I mean, you don't go out of your way to sign McGoldrick and Smith, tie down Tyler Roberts with a new deal, and then still have someone like Rhys Oates, but not have a headache as to who's going to be, I suppose, your number 9. So obviously that is going to be probably some changes. But as I said when we started, they've wanted more firepower in attack, and you can't knock them, because that's exactly what they've gone out and done, and that's been their main priority.
When you look at, you've got McGoldrick, Smith, Tyler Roberts, there's a kind of 3 big strikers there. There's and then obviously, like I say, you've still got resources to chuck it to the mix or whatever. There's a lot of variety, there's a lot of options, but when the injuries bite hard in November or whatever, when suspensions kick in, when you get games in February, March time that you're playing catch up on because of games that have been called off over the winter, and you've got 4 games in 16 days or whatever it is, you're not going to have that issue of tired legs at the end of the season. You're not going to have that issue of we're having to just make do with what we've got or whatever. There's going to be, in theory, quality throughout for all 46 games this season.
Yeah, and the interviews that the 2 new signings gave to the club. So David said his plan is to score goals, which is what he's good at. It was obviously 15 in League One last season. Michael Smith said his role's been explained to him, which, indicates that the conversation's been had, that it's like, look, you're not going to be starting week in, week out. One day you might be the absolute target man. Next week you might only get a few minutes. So I think that's imperative that role is kind of explained. What did Nigel say after the Retford game? Did he seem pleased with what he saw so far, or?
Sluggish was the first word. Sluggish, but not concerned. If we're going for a lovely soundbite in a nutshell, but sums it up perfectly. They were sluggish, but who cares? It's first pre-season game. It doesn't really matter. I mean, the main thing really in these pre-season games is to get the minutes in the legs. So you've had all those players that have played 45 minutes each in both halves. No one came away. Barely Cargill took a knock, but just to his hand, he got a bit of a blood to that. I think knackered his finger up a bit, but he's all good. Louis Reed, he was out with I think it was a slight back strain. I can't. Yeah, struggle for the member on that one, but I mean, it was out with a slight knock, but an inconsequential one because he'll be there at Barrow on Saturday. So everyone's fit, everyone's healthy. There's good settled squad, so I think the mood in the camp's excellent, and all part of the process to building up towards. I say Doncaster, but I suppose we should say Sheffield United because that's the first competitive game of the season. But in my eyes and a lot of people's eyes, it's all about League One, and we're all looking forward to Donny.
Yeah, definitely. And there is a lot to feel good about. And, before Michael Smith was announced, Nigel did say they were pushing to get a couple more signings over the line. And they do keep mentioning potentially another midfielder. So that will be interesting to see if that happens as well.
Yeah, he did say that last night. There's one more place up for grabs. And obviously that is going to be a midfielder. Be interesting to see if it's a winger or a central midfielder, what position. I mean, it was good to see last night as well. Mentioned for George Maris, he's had a few injury woes of late, and he played a good 45 minutes last night and looked decent. One that Nigel loves. George Maris has been with Nigel all the way on this journey, and it's good to see him back playing. It's no one's gone out apart from the players that were released. No one's gone out as well. So the likes of Will Evans, whether it's not going to have probably the amount of time they have done in the past. Everyone there in that squad has got a part to play, and everyone's going to be really, really important to achieving the aims of can they get that top six.
Well, almost like we know what we're doing, because that leaves me lovely on to the point that I raised this week about, I think these signings are really a sign of what's going on behind the scenes, the conversations that are being had. And I think it's gone from, obviously the top 10 finish was great, but I think it was a surprise for most, having been looking over your shoulder, bless you, worrying about was the bottom four going to catch up, and then all of a sudden it's top 10, and there was a point where playoff spots were actually mathematically possible. And I think it's now gone from less of a, oh yeah, we can dream, to now this is a serious conversation, because Michael Smith was quite bold in his interview where he said there's no reason why Stags can't be competing for top six. And this is a guy who knows what he's doing with promotion. And then, McGoldrick said something similar about how it was Nigel Clough that was the main pull to join Mansfield. It's no secret that he wasn't short of offers. Nigel said as well he was surprised Michael Smith was available. And these two top draw strikers have chosen Stags. And obviously no one knows the conversation that the manager had with those, but it just makes you think, is there conversations happening look, the next step is to push for promotion, and these players believe the vision and they can see it, and that's exactly why they've joined, and that's what I spoke about earlier this week, because I don't see why else you'd want to join if you didn't fully believe in the vision. So it's a really exciting project at the moment. The fact Tyler Roberts wanted to stay, they signed John Russell, and obviously this next signing they bring in as well will also be proof that something exciting's happening behind the scenes. It's just whether the proof's in the pudding when the season starts.
Yeah, it's 100% all about whether they can get it is 100% about whether they can get top six. That is the aim, and I think the secondary is, if you're not going to get top six, that you need to beat last season's finish, and then it shows that you are making progress, and that it becomes a stepping stone to the following season for an even better go. I get in that top six. It's an interesting season last season, just taking the league as a whole rather than just the Stags. And when you have Lincoln City absolutely romping the league from kind of, they wasn't in that position the season before where they were kind of on the cusp. I think it was a mid-table finish, and the points that they added and the difference of where they finished the season before to to last season was just insane. Amazing achievement. But when you look further down, you look at the fact that Stevenage, with all their limited resources and the size of their club, was sixth, and then I think was it fourth. Bradford City, who came up, went all season. It shows you, it shows you as hard as that league is going to be. It shows you what can be achieved. For me, it's a lot now about it's about the mentality. It's all about the mentality, which is why you're bringing in these experienced players because, as I said before, the goals change, and with the goals changing, the pressure changes, the expectation rises. It becomes more imperative that you win games. Like I say, 1 or 75 minutes, you can't just settle for a point. Maybe you've got to go for it. It just changes the dynamics really, and that's why you've got to get these two strikers in that can get you the goals and as well as the experience. But I think Stags have to go for it and not be afraid. There's no reason to be afraid. As we saw last season, they gave Huddersfield the right beating. They beat Cardiff. They were banging the goals in. They had no one to fear, and they showed what they could do. But you've got to be brave. You've got to take it on. You've got to say, right, we don't need to go to Leighton Orient and get a 0-0 and be happy with a point. Kind of moves a bit further away from the drop zone. Let's go in for the kill. Games like that, and the Peterborough game last season, where it was it's another point. It ticks you over. Nigel loves his unbeaten record, but it's about winning the games, not just drawing them as well, isn't it? And they've got to be brave and go for it. Have no fear.
Yeah, all roads lead back to the conversation about the 0-0 draws, doesn't it? Because it is that golden question of what if you just nicked a 1-0 win. And as you said, that's exactly why the likes of McGoldrick and Smith have been brought in to maybe be those changes and make it a 1-0 or a 2-1 or whatever. And just see where that would take you. And I suppose there was a point where every week it was like, Nigel, how are you feeling? And it was like, we're not safe yet. We're X points from the bottom four, but we need this. And I remember him saying they needed more than 50 to guarantee safety. And then as soon as that pressure was off, as you said, it was like the shackles were off. There was no fear, and they were just attacking it. But I suppose, the fear of going from a draw to no points, it's big pressure. But if they can attack that same attitude from the very start this season, the sky is the limit, really.
It's the right. I mean, it's game by game, and obviously, if you're 75 minutes in and you're at Hillsborough or whatever, then and it's 1-1 or whatever, it's a decent point. But on the flip side, it's not so good if it's 0-0 at home to Burton Albion in the 75th minute. So it's getting that balance right. But Nigel knows what he's doing. He's been here before, and he's guided teams out of League One before, and yeah, you got to trust that he knows what he's doing, as he very clearly does. As do these players, it's an exciting season ahead.
Yeah, there's plenty of pre-season action to come before season rolls about, and maybe next time we have this chat, there might be another signing on the roster, but we will see. They seem eager to get the third and final one over the line, so we'll be keeping tabs on that. And I think that's it for us for this week. Do always engage with us. We absolutely love to read your comments. Hope you're enjoying the new format, which we're very proud of. And just keep dropping your questions and your talking points, and we will see you this time next week.